So Ironman, that's where the nickname came from. So like
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm 35 years old and I'm 10-0 with 9 knockouts.
What?
Yeah, the only way to win at gambling is to not gamble.
Yeah.
And like Lazarus, Jesus Christ rose my son from the dead.
John Ironman Cantrell, thanks for joining us.
Let's go. Come on, man. Welcome to the studio, bro.
Ironman Cantrell. Give us a little backstory about John.
Oh man, that's a pretty loaded question, partner.
Yes, it is.
Just a regular guy, who was fallen and found Jesus, brother.
Yeah.
Let's go. Come on.
Lost and then found.
Preach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you from Topeka?
No, I grew up on Pomona Lake by way of Wichita, Kansas. We moved up when my dad, when Wolf Creek Nuclear Operating Corporation moved their accounting in-house. So that was Dad's opportunity to get out of the city, and he'd always wanted to live on a lake. So we moved to Pomona, moved onto the lake, and then he went to work in Burlington every day.
Nice.
And I went to school in Linden for K through 8 and then high school in Burlington.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then college at Wichita State and then Emporia State. And then graduated from Emporia State with a bachelor's in political science and history. Then 18 months later, I was in federal prison for distribution of methamphetamine.
What? Wow.
I knew you had quite the backstory. I was wondering if you were comfortable getting into it, but I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So after graduating college, so I was going to be a high school history teacher that taught kids that Christianity was a crutch for weak-minded people that couldn't solve their own problems.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
And I guess God had different plans.
Wow. Yeah. How'd you go from graduating Emporia State to selling meth, prison? Like what happened in there?
So addiction started in high school.
Oh, really?
It started with the alcohol. I never really felt like I fit in. I never really felt like I belonged. I think that most people that aren't Christian can explain this sensation of having this hole inside of them that never feels like it can be filled.
Sure.
Right? So you try to fill it with whatever you think will make you happy, whether that be money or accolades.
Right.
Nice jobs or drugs or sex or women or whatever. And I went hard and fast trying to fill that hole with whatever I thought could make me feel complete. And unfortunately, the more you stuff in there, the bigger the hole gets. It never gets full.
Yeah.
So, I went hard and fast in the wrong direction. And,
wow. So you got started, you said alcohol in high school. How'd you get into meth? I mean, that's quite a jump too, right?
Yeah, it is. So I started getting prescribed amphetamine salts for attention deficit disorder when I was in middle school. And I quickly found...
Is that a normal prescription for that?
It was in the 90s, man. I mean, if you grew up in the 90s, Ritalin was the answer to everything.
Oh, okay.
If your kid had behavioral issues...
Wait, is that what Ritalin is? It's amphetamine salts?
So amphetamine salts is all ADHD medicine are basically based off of amphetamines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And then if you do another process to them, you can create other amphetamines.
Wow.
But that's not, I don't really know how all that works, but I never felt comfortable being me. I never felt comfortable in my own skin. I always had an identity issue. And I found that I could blend into my surroundings to basically hide, to feel comfortable. I was a chameleon. And, my dad told me when I was younger, and I say this a lot, but the people you surround yourself with, you want to know what kind of person you are, look at your 3 best friends.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
And he would tell me the people you surround yourself with, that's who you become.
That's so true.
And, I was terrified of success. I liked the idea that, I always did well on my test scores and I always had a lot of potential and everybody always saw a lot of potential in me, and I lived off that gratification there. But I was always terrified to actually try anything or do anything because if I failed, everybody would know who the real me was.
Right. Yeah.
that I wasn't that smart and I wasn't that athletic and I wasn't that this or that or anything else.
Yeah. It feels like I was faking the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you live life, if you live life completely devoted to yourself and yourself only, then you're living a lie, because we weren't designed for that.
Right.
While our flesh craves us to be selfish in every single way, we have a spirit that craves the opposite of that. And it wasn't until I found that out, until God decided to grace me with his presence and introduce himself to me through special revelation. And after that, I knew.
There you go, man. You sound like a seminary student, bro. Come on now. I'm in seminary too, so I'm right there with you. So how'd you get into prison?
So I graduated from college, and I had done student teaching, and I knew I didn't want to teach. That was not for me. So I got a job in Lawrence, and I was making more money playing pool at the bars and at the pool halls than I was going to work. And if you
out of school?
Yeah, after I graduated.
You're working at a school during the day and then playing pool.
So while I was in college, my fiance at the time was on the dance team for Emporia State. And so she'd have to be there like all day.
Right.
And I had so many college credits built up that like my last year, I only had to take like 6 or 9 credit hours.
Nice.
So I was done with all my classes by like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So I would go to the Emporia Rec Center and play pool for free with this 98-year-old man named John Brown. And he was a stud pool player, man. And he taught me everything, and we'd sit there and we'd run drills, and he'd show me how to move the rock around the green.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So for 8 hours a day, that's all I did. Just play pool.
And you're like, I might as well make some money off this if I'm putting so much time into it.
Well, and degenerate gambling runs in my family. And I definitely picked up that bug. I'm a degenerate gambler. So,
wow.
Yeah. The only way to win at gambling is to not gamble.
Yeah. That's what it seems to be. Yeah.
It cost me a lot of money to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. Let's clip that, and that'll heal
More
some
people
people.
need to hear
right
that
there.
again.
Right. But I started, if you hang around bars, so I graduated. I didn't want to teach. I got a job at a loan agency, and I moved to Lawrence with a buddy of mine who was not probably the best person to spend my time with. And I just made a series of really bad decisions, and when I started using the drug to help me stay up or to concentrate or to do anything, at first it felt like a miracle drug, and then it was solving all my problems. And quickly it changed from that to I need this every day, all the time.
Right. Wow.
I had a substantial drug habit, and to support that, I sold drugs.
Wow.
And I thought that I had found my dream job. Like this was what I was meant for.
Right.
Everybody was always happy when I showed up, and I don't know. I'm not going to glorify it because it was a living hell. It didn't take too long before the shroud of that life, like, people glamorize it in movies and in music, but it's foul and filthy, and there's no loyalty and no love, and it's dog eat dog. Nobody cares about anybody else. When you are in that, when you are that kind of addicted to things, to something, you name it, it could be any sin. When you're that kind of addicted to it, you are only self-serving, only. And I tried every humanly way possible to stop. I went to rehab several times.
Really?
Dude, if it could have been if you could be saved by love alone, right? My parents gave me 100 times more than I needed.
Wow.
But it literally took God removing that from me for me to stop, because I could have never stopped by myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I didn't really want to go to prison. So I went through a suicide attempt via vehicular accident.
Shoot.
Survived that without a scratch, which There's no way. There's
Yeah.
no way I survived what I went through without getting hurt. Gave my life to Christ that night. Turned myself into the U.S. Marshals early to start doing my time early because I knew I was going to go.
Right. Yeah.
And I wasn't doing myself any good on the streets. So
Yeah.
I was like, God wants me to go here. I'm going to go here.
Wow.
And then he immediately started putting people in my life to lead me through the Bible.
What made you
Wow.
give your life to God that night? Was it the reality of like, wow, I'm alive and I should be alive? There's something else going on.
So that was kind of, so it started in Alcoholics Anonymous when I was in Florida. I thought that changing my settings would help me.
Sure.
And unfortunately, my biggest problem was with me everywhere I went.
Right. Yeah.
That being me.
Yeah.
So I got introduced to the idea of a higher power in Alcoholics Anonymous. And a lot of people don't know this, but Alcoholics Anonymous was founded on Christian principles.
Yeah.
If you read it how Bill Wilson originally wrote it, it wasn't higher power. It was Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother caveat that we're not going to get into. But I got introduced to the idea of a higher power there, right? Because I had finally found something that I couldn't best, right? So clearly there are powers out there greater than me, because if I can't best this, then it's greater than I am,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can't beat it. No matter what I do or what I try, I can't beat it. So that still wasn't enough. God had to let me walk a little bit further down my own horror show before introducing himself to me. So I come home from Florida and I say the U.S. Marshals arrested me, but they rescued me. They saved me. If they wouldn't have done what they did, I would have killed myself. Not even on purpose, just with drugs in general. U.S. Marshals rescued me. I got released on pretrial release, decided my life was over, and immediately relapsed. Right. But I still hadn't, I'd gotten introduced to the idea of a higher power, but it didn't have a name yet.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
So I go to the bar and I'm with my girlfriend and I'm loaded and my parents think I'm sober and all my friends and family think I'm sober and I'm not. I've relapsed on meth and I'm smoking heroin and taking smoking methamphetamine. I basically anything that I could get to change my reality from what I was looking at, So I leave the bar and I'm driving really fast and I just decided it's time and I let go of the steering wheel and I go off the road and car flips and tumbles and rolls and everything goes out the windows except for me and I didn't have my seatbelt on.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. When everything stopped moving, I was laying on the roof of the car.
What?
Yeah. I was laying on the roof of the car inside because it was upside down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like,
And everything had went out the windows. And I hit so hard on the impact that the pack of Marlboros I had sitting on my lap exploded because all there was shredded tobacco and I was looking for a cigarette because I needed a cigarette. So I get out and I'm walking down the road and my girlfriend who had left literally just right behind me took her a minute to catch up because I was driving so fast. I was way over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And, I just totaled my car. It looked like somebody had stepped on a pop can. And she picked me up and she took me home. And I told my parents that I'd relapsed and that I'd tried to kill myself. And I just wrecked the car that they'd got me. And that I wanted to die. I wanted my life to be over. And I was tired of hurting all the people that I loved and that cared about me. And that I just was a POS that was never going to do anything good in life. And my heart was broken and I'd been through a string of really bad relationships. And I've always had a really big heart, because I've always really cared about people. And even with the drugs, at one point in time, in my insanity, I thought that I was helping people by being a good drug dealer or an honest drug dealer.
Sure.
We'll tell our
Not as bad as the other guys.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
Well, we like to put hierarchy on sin and say, oh, well, your sin's worse than mine.
Sure.
Or it's all guilty of the same. What is the wage of sin?
Death.
To all of it. Doesn't matter what it looks like. The wages of sin are death. Right? So my soul's broken and my heart's broken and I go into my bedroom and I get down on my hands and knees and I'm just sobbing and I just want to die. 'Cause But like something had happened on that walk when I started walking down the road and I was by myself. Like I knew that I shouldn't have walked away from that. You know, I knew there was something there. And then I got home. Oh, it's already starting.
Come on.
I got down on my hands and knees and I just cried out to the universe. I said, I don't know what's out there, but whatever it is, please save me from myself. Like I can't stop. I'll never quit. I need help. Please, if you're out there, please, now's the time. Help me. And that's when Christ revealed himself to me. And I didn't hear it like you hear me talking to you now, but I heard it inside of me. 3 words. 4 words. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then I felt this just, you know, like when you take a blanket out of a dryer on a cold day, I just felt like somebody wrapped a warm blanket right out of the dryer around me. And, you know, it was like Paul on the road to Damascus. You know, it wasn't Allah, it wasn't Buddha, it was Lord has a name, and his name is Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew exactly who it was that I was talking to. I grabbed a Bible and I went to Stormont. The police tried to arrest me for a DUI. The ambulance went out and they were like, this kid's got a broken neck or a broken back or something, because there's no way you walk away from an accident like this. He's just so loaded on dope that he's...
So they just found your car?
Yeah, they found my car.
And then they like, where'd the guy go that was in this car?
Right. And then they showed up at my parents' house because they tracked the tags back to that. And the cops got there before the ambulance, and the cops trying to arrest me. And the ambulance shows up and they're like, you're crazy. He's going to the emergency room. You're not taking him to jail. So they took me to the emergency room. And, you know, it's funny. Like after the accident, no matter how loaded I was completely sober. And like after that moment on my knees, like completely sober. It was like God that was it.
Well, like, you mean you never relapsed again after that?
No, I relapsed. I have relapsed after that. And it was horrible.
You're saying like you were high, but then that...
Yeah, then I was
the
just
high disappeared.
Done. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to Stormont Vale West and I took my Bible with me in my big book. And I opened the Bible, and I'd opened it several times before, but I'd never understood anything that it said. It's like it was hidden to me, you know, or it was so simple. Like I couldn't, there's no way that it can be this simple, that it can be this easy, right? And then I opened it after that, and it's like the shroud had been removed. Sure, it's like God knew what I would do if I understood his word too early. Like I would use it to hurt people, or I would use it for personal gain. I have no idea. I don't know why he picked the perfect time to give me discernment over his word, but all of a sudden it started making sense. And I read the Gospel of John. And then I finished the New Testament. And then I started over in the Old Testament, ran all the way through.
Come on,
let's go.
A couple times while I was down. But I left there. We went home after the hospital, and I turned myself in a couple days later and started doing my time.
Wow. How long did you spend in prison?
I went in at 23. I got out at 26, so about 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
35.
Okay.
So I got home 8 years ago, September.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wild. So your time in prison, you were already trying to get healthy, make a change.
That was all that's all I did the whole time I was down.
Yeah.
That was what it was. That was God's time to quiet the world and all the distractions in the world and get them away from me so that he could teach me about who he was.
It's kind of God's rehab for you. So when you get out, did you kind of hit the ground running on just rebuilding your life generally too? Like your work, like obviously you probably weren't selling drugs anymore. No. What do you like? How'd you get from out of prison to, you mentioned before we started the camera, you have several businesses. You're a fighter, which is how we heard of you and reached out. How did you get from there?
Just picking up the cross and following him every day, man.
Yeah.
Do that a lot of 24s in a row, and something's bound to work out.
Yeah.
You know, he'll lead you right to where he wants you to be.
Yeah.
So I got home in 2016, and the whole time I was down, I prayed for God to put a good woman in my life, you know, because I'd been through a string of bad relationships. And my parents picked me up in Forest City, Arkansas, and they drive me all the way back to 25th in California, the halfway house here in Topeka. And I open the door on their car, and I step out, and I shook my wife's hand.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I met Taylor Hawks that day. A year later, we were married.
Wow.
Wow.
And we've been married since then.
Wow.
So we're going on 8 years now.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We just celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary.
Let's go. I'm 7 years in too. Come on.
Amen. We got through the rough 7. Everybody says 7's
dude.
rough.
I will say the first 7 were pretty rough.
Yeah, they're pretty rough.
We're cresting that hill.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Life's good.
Amen. I would. You know, it's funny. I look at Taylor probably once or twice a week and just be like, man, does it get any better than this? You know, and it's not about things, or getting, you know, it's just about, you know, the relationships that we have and the people that we have in our life.
So good. The connection that you
yeah,
share,
right,
the direction, what you're doing in your life. I agree. Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. My wife. I mean, we've been through a lot as well, probably different, but I mean, that's how I feel. Just like, man, we'll look at each other like, man, our life's never been this good.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I like you think back to like when you were a young man before, and you were like, man, I hope I find a good woman and a good wife and all these other things. And I want her to be this and this and that and this and that. And then what God gives you is so much more perfect than anything you could have ever imagined yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I'm not like, I have different dreams than when I was 18. Not doing many of the things that when I was 18, I thought I would be doing. You know, not making the money I thought I'd be making when I graduated college with an engineering degree. But man, I just think the same thing. Like, man, life this is so much better than what I would have done myself.
By far.
It's amazing.
Do you guys have kids?
We do. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up and catch you guys up because there's a couple things that got to come out. So started falling away. Taylor wasn't a Christian when we met. Wasn't a Christian when we got married. Problems started happening in the storms of life started to hit. You know, Taylor went through a really bad depressive state. I started drinking. It took me about a month of drinking before I was smoking meth again. So I relapsed right after I'd celebrated 5 years. So prison to where I was at, 5 years sobriety. Just picked up a 5-year chip, and then I went out and had a drink.
Ouch.
Right. We split up. I went crazy. Thought she was the devil. Took everything that she owned and put it in our driveway after we just bought a new house and changed the locks.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that was her way to find God. You know, us splitting up and her having to go through that was what drove her to God.
I should try that on my friends who don't know God. Lock them out of their house.
Well, so it wasn't just that. I mean, when I use, I turn into a monster. You know, people talk about, oh yeah, he's a good guy. He's this and that. No, man, there are several people that I am the monster in their story.
Sure.
Several. You know, and I've made amends to a lot, and there's still yet more to make amends to. But I was an absolute monster to my wife. Monster. Psychologically, adultery. I mean, really bad.
Man, I appreciate how you just kind of put it all out there, man. You're like just owning your story. And,
you know what's funny, partner? That's really the key. If you want to learn how to get past your problems in life and your issues, put them out there. You know, God tells us if we want to air out that dirty laundry, bring it out,
bring it to light.
As long as I'm trying to figure it out by myself, I used every great idea that I had to try to solve my own problems, right? To follow my own navigation. And that led me straight to federal prison. So once I realized that I maybe wasn't the best director of my own life, God puts it on us. I think if we could openly talk about our sin and we, we're as sick as our secrets. We're as sick as our secrets.
Yeah.
The stuff we do, what does God say about stuff done behind closed doors? We're done in the night. It's going to be brought to the light.
Yep.
Sooner or later, the sooner we can bring that stuff to the light, means he doesn't have to burn it out of us when we get our trial by fire.
Right. Yeah. So, man, yeah, obviously it seems like you're in a pretty good place now. I mean, it seems like you're healthy. You've been sober for a while.
I just celebrated 5 years again in September.
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Not celebrating with a drink this time?
No. I have finally come to the realization that I am highly allergic to alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
One little drink and I turn into a massive a-hole. Yeah. So I just avoid it completely.
That's great. Yeah. I know. I think a lot of people, and even in maybe less extreme situations, people, whether it's a really bad relationship they're getting out of or something, it's like, well, like we can still be friends. And you're like, why? Like, why risk ruining your life again? It's like there's this pressure to like be friends, or in this case, well, I can still use alcohol wisely.
Right.
Why risk it? You got a good thing going here, man. Like, just move on,
What is this? I look at it as death. If I drink that means death to me.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And everything you built, your family. Yeah.
It's death.
Yeah.
It's death. And not only that, but another thing, and this is what I tell a lot of my friends that are heavy drinkers but wouldn't consider themselves alcoholic. What has it ever done for you?
Sure.
Right? Headaches, saying things, out of anger or saying stupid things that you didn't mean. Being late to work, or even if you're a functional, right? Just being miserable and sick, eating all the junk food when you get home, or stopping at Sonic and getting, whatever. It's not added one good thing to your life.
Right.
Right. Now you could say, oh, well, it makes me feel better in stressful situations. That's great. There are a lot of other things, right?
Sure.
You could go through resilience training,
right?
And I could show you how through breathing exercises and a little bit of exercise, you can have that same thing, that same feeling, and not have to drink empty calories that are junk.
Yeah.
That alcohol will turn the finest men into fools.
That's true. So if we switch gears just a little bit, man, it's incredible. Obviously, God's done a lot in your life and still is, obviously, which is, praise God, it's amazing.
Amen.
And I appreciate just the honesty and the transparency. I mean,
I love that. I didn't know if you were going to go into that
inspiring.
Today.
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
I didn't really know how this was going to go. This has been awesome so far. You're getting more than you paid for so far, which is great. But tell us about how you got into fighting. Tell us, how did that start? Where are you at now? I saw it from social media. You have a title.
So I have 3. I'm the Kansas heavyweight professional boxing champion, the Missouri heavyweight professional boxing champion, and the American Boxing Organization heavyweight champion.
Oh.
Wow.
So I'm currently ranked number 27 heavyweight in the United States.
Wow.
Is there different levels of boxing, or are you across all boxers, you're number 27 in that category?
Yeah. Across all boxers, I'm number 27 in the U.S.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And he's from Topeka, Kansas. That's crazy.
Pride of Topeka, man.
Come on, man. So tell us a little bit about that journey. How'd you get into it? How'd you get from starting to being number 27 in the U.S.?
So I started training when I was my last year in prison, when I was in RDAP, the Residential Drug Abuse Program. If you completed it, you got a year off your sentence and you got guaranteed 6 months halfway out. So you got to go home 18 months early.
Wow.
So I was doing that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? At the very end, when I was real short on time, I started praying, God, if I'm not ready yet, don't send me home. I would rather stay here and have you than go home and throw you away for all the things that I think the world needs.
Real talk.
Yeah.
I would have rather stayed in prison than come home and gone back to what I was. You kind of make that decision. You come to the decision in your life where it's just like, God is, when I had nothing, right? I'd lived in a world where I'd had everything and it meant nothing to me. And then in prison, I'm in a world where I have nothing, but I have everything because I have God.
Yeah.
And when you realize that that's all you really need is God, it makes life so much simpler.
Yeah.
But we forget, and I forgot.
Right. Right.
I forgot several times. I still do. I have to remind myself. I've got my little reminders all over me.
There you go. There you go. I see you got Taylor Swift's album title.
89. Yeah. That's I gotta have my Swiftie tat. No, yeah. Psalms, Matthew 6:33 is my daily reminder.
Come on, love it, man.
Yeah,
love it. So tell us about boxing, man. How'd you?
So I started training for an Ironman competition, and I ended up getting married instead of going and doing an Ironman.
I mean, that's a good trade.
Yeah, I had to pick one.
Yeah,
they fell on the same weekend, and
right.
I was bound to determine this was the one. So I wasn't able to run the race, and I was poor, and the ticket to do the race was expensive, and the amount
was it one in like Hawaii or something like that?
It was Ironman Austin 70.3, Austin, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those things are no joke.
No, dude, brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Just the training is insane.
Insane. Yeah.
What is an Ironman? What all goes into an Ironman?
Run, bike, and swim. Triathlon.
Swim.
But it's like
for 70.3 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you run 13 and you bike and you swim. I mean, you're getting after
the running wouldn't be a problem for you.
Well, yeah, but swimming.
Johnny Boy's been training over here.
It's the swimming that gets you.
Yeah.
You doing the half marathon?
I'm doing a full in a month. And I'm doing a half next week. Okay. So I ran 14 this morning. Yeah.
Good for you.
Let's go.
I do 5 a day, not 4. But I'm not.
Well, I'm just training for the marathon race, So I probably wouldn't be doing 14 very often if I wasn't doing,
something
the
like
race.
that.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So Ironman, that's where the nickname came from. My friends invited me up to a fight gym after they saw that, because I was on Facebook real upset about not being able to do it, and they invited me to a fight gym. And they were all teasing me because they're like, come on, man, you can run 10 miles. You run 10 miles every day. And you can't fight for 30 seconds without getting gassed. Come on, Iron Man. So Iron Man was born. Yeah. So it was a joke. But
the best nicknames start like that.
Yeah, amen. So 90 days after I started training, I had my first fight. Yeah. I don't know if you've picked this up from my story yet, but when I decide I like something, I go all the way.
Yeah, you're an all-in type guy.
Very much so. Yeah. When I believe in something, I believe in it.
Yeah.
Love
it.
So did a bunch of MMA fights, went 12-1 as an amateur, cage fighting, MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai.
What were you training at the gym? Were you training jiu-jitsu?
MMA.
You were
MMA.
Oh, so everything. You were training.
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't like boxing training. It was MMA.
Right.
You train stand-up, but it's different. In boxing, you stay real guarded and you keep your stance and you stay bladed. You can't do that in MMA, man. Like, if you leave that leg out there, it's going to get kicked.
Yeah.
And I don't like getting kicked in the legs.
Yeah.
It's one of my least favorite things. So I did well, and then I had my relapse, and my wife and I separated, and that was a 6-month period. And then I booked a fight. She invited me to go to church with her, and that's what got us back together. Because I was really upset with God, and I blamed him. And then when my wife invited me to go to church, I knew that I had been deceived by myself and by the drugs and by the enemy. So we went to church, and then we got into the book, and she moved back into the house, and we got baptized together. Our job started going really well. She got pregnant. And I had booked a fight when we got back together because I knew that I wouldn't use if I was training for a fight, because I hate losing.
Yep.
Hate it. So I started training for another fight and won that one, won my next one. I did one pro boxing fight and one pro mixed martial arts fight. Won them both within the first 30 seconds of the fight. And then I retired. Wow. And I was going to focus on my career. So Taylor got pregnant. We prayed and prayed and prayed, and I didn't think I was going to be able to have kids. And then Taylor got pregnant. I got real big. I got up to like 315 pounds.
From not training?
From not training and sympathy weight and COVID weight, because we were working. I was able to work from home. So we just ate out every day. And we both made good money. So it's not like we're not looking at our receipts.
Right.
We just do, let's go eat.
Yeah.
So I gained a bunch of weight, and then everything happened with my son, which was crazy. He was stillborn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 12 minutes I prayed with my head on the OR room floor. God, please, I can't, after everything that I've just put my wife through, you know, and us getting back together and the miracle you've made there, please, I cannot go to this woman and tell her that we're going home with an empty car seat. You know, I'd read the New Testament to this kid while he was in my wife's stomach. Right. You know, I'm playing classic rock music on her stomach on headphones so that he comes out liking the same music that we do. I read him the first 3 Harry Potter books. Like, me and this dude are connected. Yeah. You know? And I begged God, and I told him I would devote the entire rest of my life to serving him in every capacity that I had if I didn't have to have that conversation with my wife. And like Lazarus, Jesus Christ rose my son from the dead.
Wow. How long was he dead?
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah. And then they asked
Born on time? Was he early?
No, 40 weeks plus 3 days.
Wow.
Full term plus. 9.5 pounds. He was a monster. Wow. He'd lost oxygen in the womb sometime between Wednesday and Sunday and suffocated. So he lost 50% of his brain. Severe brain damage. He started having an hour-long seizure every 3 hours. They had to do the hypothermia. He was a head cooling baby, which means they had to cool his temperature to get medicine in him to preserve his organs and his heart. And he had all kinds of problems. The first week we were there, they asked us 5 times how we wanted to say goodbye to Cooper. Yeah. Well, because it was like, you know, if his heart rate's dropped to 19 beats a minute, you know, we're going to have to take him off the morphine because the morphine's going to stop his heart, you know, because it's slowing him down so much. But if we take him off the morphine, there's a chance that the amount of pain he's in could kill him.
Wow.
And if we have to revive him, like, there's a chance that we could crack his little rib cage from trying to do compressions. And it was, you know, how hard do you want us to try? Like, do you want us to give him compressions? Do you want us to shock him? Do you want us to this? Do you want us to that?
How do you even answer those questions?
I know. Yeah.
You let God lead. So we just prayed, and we didn't know what to do. So we put posts out on Facebook. You know, the doctors would tell us what they needed for him to survive.
Like mile markers, what they needed to see.
Yeah, like, dude, we need this guy. We need to be able to get a PICC line in. We need to be able to get medicine. We have to be able to get this medicine in him through the line. We need him to go to the bathroom, you know, because he hadn't had a chance to go to the, you know, we need him to do this, and we need him to do this. And they'd give us a list of things, and I'd take that list and I'd type it up on my phone and I'd put it out on Facebook. Went internationally viral.
Really?
Yeah. We had churches in 9 different countries praying for our son.
Wow.
And like, dude, it was the craziest. We were watching literal biblical miracles happen in front of us every day. So the doctors would give us a list. I'd post it on Facebook. Within hours, the doctors would come back to us and tell us that what we had prayed for had happened.
Wow.
And we got to watch that happen every day for like 6 weeks in a row.
That's amazing.
It was wild. So I had retired because I wanted to do the dad thing from fighting. But fighting, you know, being a professional athlete had always been my dream. You know, I loved watching Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield box, man, and George Foreman, and, you know, all these guys. They were just incredible. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, my son's going to have a really hard life. And who am I to tell him, like, you can achieve anything if you just put your mind to it and you trust God and you do this and you do that, when I had so easily discarded my dreams.
Wow.
So I walked into Great Life at 421 Van Buren, and I bumped into this wild man named Damon Reed. And I asked him if he'd be my coach, and he said no. And then I told him my story, and he said maybe. And then, you know, he started coming over and helping me out a little bit at a time and showing me some different pointers and stuff like that. And before you know it, he's training me twice a day. And in 5.5 months, he cut 105 pounds off of me.
Wow.
And I went from 40% body fat to under 10% body fat.
Wow.
Right.
That's amazing.
So 315 pounds to 6-pack in 5.5 months.
Wow.
So I fought once at Carriage Club when I got to about the 240 range. And then we booked Mario Munoz, who was the Kansas heavyweight champ at the time. He had 20 pro fights. Like, this was going to be my third professional fight.
Wow.
Yeah. Nobody believed in me but Damon. Damon's like, we're going to knock him out. And we did. We knocked him out.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, we knocked him out in the 4th round.
When was this?
2019, 20, 21, 20, 21.
Yeah.
It was in 21.
What's the pro level of boxing called? Like, what's the, like, it's not UFC, it would be MMA. What's the like pro?
It's just pro.
It's just called pro boxing.
Boxing is so scattered. There's so many different sanctioning bodies and titles and circuits and everything else. Boxing is really scattered.
Okay.
So you knock him out.
Do
you book a bunch more fights after that, or is it one of those things where you kind of fall back a little bit?
Nope. For the last 3, so I've really only been boxing for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
So like that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm 35 years old and I'm 10-0 with 9 knockouts.
What?
Yeah.
They need to call you John Knockout Cantrell.
No, just John's fine with me. Yeah. So I've used it as a platform to share the gospel, and to share hope and to shine spotlights on people that others feel maybe are undeserved, or they get pushed in the corner, or they get overlooked. I've been able to be a part of some really cool things because of it. But I just decided to make it God's fight, not my fight, which took all the stress and pressure off of me. And I'm doing it a lot differently than most fighters do. I pray with my opponents before we fight, and I have nothing bad to say about any of them.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson?
Yep.
Where it's like the day before he goes off to Vietnam, he's in the chapel on base or whatever. And at the end of his prayer, he's like, and please ignore the heathen prayers of my enemies. I just imagine that to you, like, bless this man, and God, please ignore all his prayers before we fight.
Yeah, nope, I never pray for victory, man. I never pray. I try not to pray for victory. I just pray for safety. Pray for safety for my opponent and for myself. I pray that we're both able to go home to our kids and be
Pray
dead.
he doesn't get CT when I knock him out.
Yeah. So how often are you boxing? How often do you have matches?
Every couple months.
Every couple months.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty normal schedule?
Dude, we're fast paced. Most people fight twice a year. I'm fighting 4 or 5
That was
times.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm 35, man. I don't have time to waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it, we got to go.
And what is the lay of the land where you are now? Like, as you're looking forward in your boxing career, you're wanting to progress and keep moving forward?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What's the next
probably
couple stages look like?
I'm probably 4 fights away from a world championship.
Wow.
5 fights away. So pretty close.
Where do those fights typically take place?
So we missed an offer. We missed an offer for the WBO, World Boxing Organization, big one. Intercontinental heavyweight world title in the UK.
Wow.
That would have happened November 2nd. But they ended up going with another fighter instead of me.
Gotcha.
That's okay. It'll come.
So
I trust God, man. I trust his timing.
Is that the level? So like, I know very little about boxing. The only thing I know about boxing is like, a pay-per-view fight, that's in Vegas, that's like the really, really famous guys or whatever. Yeah. Is that close to that level, like what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's those fights.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So you're saying you almost got into a fight that would have been at that kind of a level.
So I've been in fights. So I fought on Showtime. I won the Kansas, Missouri heavyweight title against the undefeated Missouri heavyweight champion on Showtime.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And then I fought on Fight TV.
Wow.
And I fought on Triller Fight Club. These are all big promotions.
Sure.
Okay. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I've already fought there.
Wow.
It's just the next time it won't be just on the card. It will be I am the card.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're the top of the bill. Yeah.
Jake Paul versus John the Ironman Cantrell.
Yeah.
What do you think about Jake Paul?
Yeah. What do you think about that? I was
Not a
going to ask him
fan.
too.
Love to fight him.
You were gonna ask
him about Jake Paul
I'd
too.
love to fight him.
Yeah.
Does he? You think he's legit? Like I thought he was just like a
dude. Listen, you hang around a barbershop long enough, you get a haircut. That dude trains with the Olympic team in Puerto Rico, and he has the money to diet and to train and to do everything perfectly.
right.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Dude can fight.
So he just like people underestimate him because he was just like a social media influencer.
People underestimate him because he fights these old bums.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
Right. Well, my impression, because I've not even really followed, except I see memes about him, you know? And so my impression was, oh, he's just kind of it's all show. Like he's not actually a boxer because he's just
fight.
like, okay, so he actually can.
Watch, like if you watch, and he doesn't post very many training videos because he wants everybody to think he can't fight.
Right. He wants to be underestimated. Yeah.
That dude can move.
Interesting. But you would fight him if you were given a chance.
In a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
That would be awesome.
He hasn't gotten hit.
Really?
He hasn't gotten hit.
Oh, he hasn't been
Yeah.
able to take a hit and keep going. Is what you're saying.
It hasn't happened yet.
Right.
He hasn't caught one yet.
Yeah.
You know, I've been flash KO'd in a fight in the first round and got up and fought tooth and nail for 6 more rounds just to get the knockout at the end of with 50 seconds left in my fight. Yeah. I know what it's like when your butt hits the canvas and you wait and you come to and people in suits are looking at you and you don't know where you're at. You're like, oh wait, I'm in a boxing ring and I'm fighting and this is my fight. And you got to ask yourself that question, like, man, am I really cut out for this?
Wow.
Am I really made for this? Because, you know, I could sit here and I could get my payday, you know, and I could just go home and say, hey, man, I had a great career. And now I'm, you know, I was a pro fighter and I fought till I was 7-1, right? I could have done that. Nobody would have said anything. But I would have known.
Right. Yeah.
More importantly, God knew.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when he told me to get up, I got up.
Wow.
But I wonder if Mr. Paul would have that same kind of experience and if he'd make the same decision.
Wow. That's wild.
I hope to
Give him the
find
chance.
out.
So, yeah. Is there anything you would say to Mr. Jake Paul right now? Because he definitely is going to see this, you know.
Who is your dream person to fight?
Oh, man. Are we talking about in history or are we talking about right now?
Both.
So if you could see my water bottle, which I left in my truck, the guy's name is Alexander Usyk. He's the linear heavyweight champion. He beat Tyson Fury. He's beat all the greats, man. And he's done it at 2 different weight classes. I mean, he is perfect. He's perfect. Yeah. He does not make mistakes. I mean, as far as like the chess game goes, unreal. And he's humble. And he quit boxing to fight for his country in Ukraine.
Yeah.
You know, he's a real one. When it comes to being he's the best boxer in the world, best pound for pound fighter in the world, in my opinion. That's who I want to fight.
Love it.
When I pick up my water bottle every day, I look at his name.
And he's currently...
He's the linear.
What does that mean? What's linear?
He holds all the major titles. WBO, WBC, IBF, IBA, ring, everything.
Wow.
He holds all of them.
He currently holds all of those.
Right, currently.
Okay.
Not just in heavyweight.
Right.
In cruiserweight too.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's like me, you know, because I'm real small for a heavyweight. I weigh 210 pounds. The cutoff's 200. So I could cut to cruiserweight if I wanted to. He did it and won all the titles at cruiserweight, then put on 30 pounds and is doing this at 230 pounds, fighting guys that are 5 inches taller than him and 70 pounds heavier than him and move like defensive ends for the Packers.
Wow.
I mean, like, dude, these are real life monsters.
Yeah.
You know, I fought guys that are 100 pounds heavier than me, 5 inches taller than me. Yeah, man,
that's bonkers.
There'd be monsters around them heavyweights, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just saying that. I have enough self-reflection to know I am not cut out for that. I don't need to find out.
See,
I just know.
I was thinking like during this episode, you know, Jake Paul is not the only one who hasn't been given the chance to be knocked out. I thought we could provide Justin with that opportunity live on air and just see if he can push through.
Dude, I'll tell you what. So you know why I pray for my opponent before we fight? Because I know that the minute that somebody actually gets hurt or that I actually hurt somebody, it's over. I'll know that God's not in it with me anymore if somebody gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So dude, it's funny. Like people think I'm some tough guy. I'm not. I'm not tough at all. Like if some random person came up to me and started like giving me the lip service and telling me what how bad you can't fight, you're not a boxer, this and that. You're right, bro. You got me. You got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus loves you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Go eat some rolls. You know.
Right.
I wouldn't fight outside.
Did you see there was a video my friend was telling me about at a baseball game recently? I can't remember, but there's these two dudes. This one guy started yelling at some guy in the stands and starts yelling at this guy and up in his face. And the guy is huge. The guy yelling at the other guy, and he's yelling at him. And then the smaller guy just kind of like takes it and walks away. And then the announcers find out later that the guy being yelled at was some fighter. World champion fighter or something. And so it's like, he would have literally murdered that other guy.
That's what dude, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I don't have anything to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
You really want to find out what it's like? I'm at 421 Southwest Van Buren at 3:30 every day. Put some gear on. You're going to need it.
Yeah.
Funny. I don't have anything to prove to anybody.
That's wild.
And once again, this isn't about me.
Yeah.
This isn't about my ego. This isn't about my pride. This is about reflecting the light of Christ through my life into everybody that I possibly can to help further his kingdom.
That's great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Me out there bullying people on the street, what's that prove?
Right. That you're insecure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm insecure. I can't handle my problems without getting angry and being violent. Nah, that's the old me, man. I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a new creation in Christ.
Come on. Well, hey, you left us hanging with your son.
Oh yeah.
So is he okay?
Double G.
I assume he made it through.
Listen, man, this kid is a straight up gangster. He is the coolest kid. They said he was never going to walk, never going to talk, completely blind, completely deaf, severe cerebral palsy, massive brain damage. Like half of his brain is just gone. Right. And you're looking at it and you're looking at the scans and you're just like, this kid is going to have a really miserable life. Dude, this kid lives his best life every day. Truck ride, boat ride, motorcycle ride, scooter ride, stroller ride.
Right.
So he's nicknamed all of his favorite people, which are his grandmas. So my mom, Nana, Taylor's mom, Graham, and then Mama Barb. So we adopted this couple from church, Jeff and Barb Gray.
Love it.
They're the nicest, and Barb never had kids. And
that's amazing.
So we are her kids.
Yeah, that's so cool.
We do. They're with us for everything. That's one of them God things. God put us together, and it didn't make any sense. That's how you know it was God. But we do holidays together, everything together. And she comes over and watches Cooper. So he's nicknamed each of us what his favorite thing to do with us is. So my wife is dog treats. Because
that's is that nickname stick with the family too? Hey, dog treats.
No. Well, we'd be in big trouble. Bro, this kid wakes up and he's an early bird like me. I wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning because I got to get my road work in before I go to work. Crazy. Insane. So this dude wants to wake up with me and his mom's not an early bird, but
that's not even early bird level.
That's not even early bird.
That's middle of the night.
That's psycho.
3 a.m. is middle of the night. Early bird is 6 a.m., 5 maybe. 3 a.m. That's middle of the night.
4 is early. 6 I've slept in. Way slept in.
We live very different lives.
I don't even want to hear it. You ran 14 miles this morning.
Not at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I gotta have my road work done. I gotta get it done. But Cooper won't get up. And the first thing he says when they get up, he looks at my wife and he goes, "Dog treats." Dog treats. And they'll go out to the kitchen and she'll open the cabinet and she'll get the dog treats and she'll pull them out and she'll break 3 or 4 of them in half. And then he'll stand there and he'll grab one or she'll hand him one and he'll throw them at the garage door. And then the dogs run. And they go after the dog treats. And that's his favorite thing.
That's amazing.
I'm truck ride.
Love it.
Or scooter ride or boat ride, depending on what time of year it is.
Oh, man.
It's during
what
the
a
summer.
Great nickname, man.
Yeah. So we, I got rid of my partner, my business partner died on a motorcycle at 10th and Fairlawn on his 19th birthday.
Oh.
And I sold my bike. Well, I didn't sell it. I traded it for a boat the same day. And when Cooper's grown up and he's out of the house and he's doing his own thing, I'll get another one. But until then, I'm off of bikes, at least for a while. But I got that boat because I found that, you spend, when you're young and you're selfish, you spend money on things that you like.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you start growing up and stuff like that, it's like, man, I could afford a bigger house, or I could afford a newer car. Or I could do this, or I could do that. It's like, but what do I really enjoy doing? I enjoy being with my wife and my son. I just want this, I like hanging out with this dude, right? And what does he like to do? He likes to go for rides. All right, well, cool, man. So I got us electric scooters.
That's
and
awesome.
we ride, instead of going for a truck ride all the time, we just get on the little electric scooter and we putt up and down the road in front of our house.
That's awesome.
I got little Bluetooth speakers so we can be jamming out to Outlaw Country, which is his favorite while we're riding around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, he's killing it, man.
He's what, 4 or 5 now?
He'll be 4 next month.
Cool.
And he's walking, running,
wow,
talking, putting sentences together.
No way.
Oh yeah, knows all his colors, knows his 50 flashcards.
Wow,
dude, I think this is gonna be fine.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be fine. I can't wait to get him in the gym. And he already likes it, man. Like we roughhouse when I'm at home. And yeah, man, my favorite time in the world is when I get to be on the floor with that boy.
Absolutely, man. That's so fun.
Yeah, body slams and choke slams and power bombs and
some old like WWE moves.
That's it, dude. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Pile driver.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
All right, changing subject up a little bit. Before we started the cameras rolling, you said you have 3 or 4 different businesses outside of just boxing. You want to walk us through what else you're doing in Topeka?
So I do consulting, which is basically like, if you have a business that's struggling and you need like your operations tightened up or processes streamlined or made more efficient, you can hire me to come in and help you do that.
Yeah.
So that's the consulting gig. As soon as my sister's ready, so right now it's Cantrell Consulting Corp. When she's ready, it will be Cantrell Consulting Safety and Environmental Corp, because she brings the safety and environmental side of that. My sister's a genius. She's crazy. And then Cantrell Properties and Management. So I lease to Oxford, which is a sober living program.
I know some guys who live there.
Yeah, Oxford's a fantastic program.
Yeah, we got guys in our church there.
Such a good deal.
It's great.
So I do Oxford, and then I am...
So you own the property.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And now I'm getting a house for Toomey, which is going to be basically like a dorm house for guys that are taking our seminary classes while they're in jail. So when they get out, they can move into the dorm house and continue their classes.
Wow.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Wow.
Actually, I think the director and dean is probably going to move into that house first, but her house is going to become that. So either way, I'm kind of involved in all kinds of stuff. Topeka Auto Glass.
Yeah.
My business partners and I took Topeka Auto Glass, and it has just grown like crazy. We put it in God's hands. We decided we were going to tithe 10% of the business straight off the top to our churches, and God has 100% rewarded that.
That's cool.
We read this book when we started called Business by the Book, and it was written by a pastor, and it kind of talked about how to run a business Christian, like in a Christian way, with Christian values. And we made a decision early on that that's how we wanted to do it. And, we've kind of, each of us made that systemic mind change from, I keep 90% of my money and I give God 10% of my money.
Right.
To now it is, God lets me have 90% of his money and he only asks for 10% of it back.
It's amazing.
It's all his.
Yeah.
Everything is his.
Yeah.
He just asked for 10%, a little 10% back.
That's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm involved in commercial development, $750 million Star Bonds projects in Gardner, and working on a deal in Junction City. And I do consulting for some car dealers, and I'm on several board of directors for local children's charities, 2030 Club member, which is a fantastic organization. United Healthcare is getting involved in our neighborhood ministry, and we're starting in Central Park. And if God does what we think he's going to do, our program will become the outreach arm of United Healthcare. At least I think it will.
Wow.
Right. And the idea is different, right? So you look at impoverished neighborhoods and urban neighborhoods, and people think, oh, well, we just need to raise more money. More money will help, more money will help, more money will help. What happens to people that don't know how to handle money when they get a lot of it?
Right. Disappears.
Yep.
They go back. People used to hear about people hitting the lottery.
Yeah.
And then they're
classic.
In 4 years, they're bankrupt. They just had $70 million.
Yeah. Money wasn't the problem.
Or professional athletes that never went to college.
Yeah. I was wondering what the stat was, but I know there's a large percentage of professional athletes that go bankrupt after their first big contract.
They never learned money management.
Nope.
Right.
So I don't know what they think is going to happen when we dump all these money into these neighborhoods with people that don't know what to do with it. So the director and dean of my organization, Mary Flynn, she proposed a new outlook to me, which was, we have to heal neighborhoods from the inside out. And she's always carried that with the Urban Ministry Institute and how she teaches and how she leads it. God pulls you out of the muck and cleans you off so that you can go back into the muck,
right,
and serve.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just move out to the suburbs.
Right. So that's why my jail ministry is effective. I've been there. My homeless ministry is effective. I've been there.
Right.
My recovery and substance abuse and addiction recovery is effective. I've been there.
Right.
God pulls us out of that, and then it's our job to take the new skills and gifts and tools that he gives us and the support system that he gives us and go back in and start at the bottom, right? So instead of looking at things from a top-down perspective, trying to heal them from the top down, we're looking at it from going in and doing it from the bottom up, right? So we create leaders that are already established in these neighborhoods, right? We build them up and we fill them with the support of the church and the body and everything else. And then they go back and then they lead by example. You're going to you know me by my fruit, right? Not by what I say, but by the fruit of my actions, right?
Yeah.
If I have good relationships and a good job and, healthy boundaries, and I'm able to give back and support my community and support my family and do all these things, if you watch how I do that for long enough, you're going to figure it out for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on, and we're partnered. We have some really strategic partnerships with Barry Feeker and Compassion Strategies.
Oh yeah,
and,
great.
And working on the homeless issue.
Sure.
When did we forget that people were our neighbors? If you live on this rock called Earth, you're a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
The Pharisees are trying to trap Jesus. They say, "Teacher, Rabbi, of all the commandments, which one is the most important?" What does Jesus say? He said, if I had to pick one, I wouldn't. I'd pick two. Love your God with all your heart and your soul and your might, and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Right.
If you do those two things, all the laws of the prophets and all the commandments have been fulfilled. And we have criminalized being homeless. We've criminalized not having an address in Topeka.
Wow.
So
I have a one-off question.
Sure.
As someone who maybe has a real world firsthand look at like addictions, what are some things about addictions, whether that's, alcohol, drugs, I'm even thinking like screens or, addiction to sugar or things like that. What are something that people misunderstand about addictions?
So first off, I'm going to rephrase that to anything we put in front of God.
Yeah.
Right. And if we can't sit that down or we're glued to it all the time, we're putting it in front of God. So if you have a friend or somebody that is in addiction, an active addiction, probably the only way you're going to be able to help them is through prayer. Enabling them to continue going down their destructive path is not going to help them. It wasn't until I was finally cut off and mom and dad's money stopped coming and I quit. It's like, listen, John, if you want to destroy yourself, we understand. No matter how much we love you and we want you to be healthy, like we have free will. I have free will to make my own choice. So understand that it's nothing that if you're struggling with the addiction, or if you're somebody that knows somebody struggling with addiction, it's not your fault. God can relieve you of what is oppressing you if you give it to him wholly. and you have the capacity to be honest with yourself that you or a person or somebody you know has a problem. And there's a lot there. I could get on my soapbox about addiction and recovery, and we could be here all day.
Yeah.
But just trust God. If it gets better, it gets better. And here's the best lesson. If a big dummy like me can make it out, I promise you, you can make it out.
We always like to close with some of the same questions to each person. So just some real deep, heavy hitting questions. Like, how many potholes did you hit on the way here?
At least 4.
Let's go.
At least 4. And that was from Best Buy. I wasn't that far away.
Yeah, it was right down the street.
Yeah.
Did you hit construction on the way here?
I avoided it, but yes, I would have hit it on 21st Street if I would have gone down 21st.
Yep. Do you have a favorite local restaurant?
Jong's Thai Kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
Jong's.
We got to
You're like the 17th person in a row.
But wait. I can't just throw that one out there. Chef Hall. You guys know Chef Hall?
No.
He's got to be on here at some point in time.
Who is that?
Okay.
Chef Hall was an executive chef for like 4 of the casinos in Las Vegas. Ended up in some craziness, was a gangster his whole life, ended up at the Topeka rescue mission, started teaching all the inhabitants of the rescue mission how to be sous chefs, and kicked off like a catering deal out of TRM.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, and now he opened a chicken place at the mall called Love Me Tenders. Ooh, buddy.
That's awesome.
That is some of the best fried chicken you will ever have in your entire life. Like literally, when we get done, turn off your mic, get in your car, go to the food court, get a 3-piece.
Yeah.
And it comes with a maple glazed like honey waffle with the fries.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
I can't eat it because I'm in fight camp. Damon.
Right.
Damon, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going. I'm going to have some fat-free water.
Yeah, exactly. Some gluten-free water.
The Globe.
Oh, yeah.
My partner, Dr. Sunil Gotru, is the owner of the Globe. And it changed, like the previous Globe was Northern Indian cuisine. His is all Southern. The Majestic. It's not on the menu. Tell me you want the Majestic.
Oh, okay. Off menu item.
Yeah.
Let's
so
go.
Go into the Globe, order the mixed grill and the Majestic.
All right.
Love it.
You heard it here.
Oh,
you heard it here. Let's go. Are you a coffee guy?
Oh yeah.
Favorite coffee place?
Classic Bean, Blackbirds, Higher Grounds. I spend my days, like my offices are usually coffee shop.
Sure.
When I'm doing things on the computer, which is, when I'm not driving around selling, when I'm doing things on the computer, I'm in a coffee shop.
Yeah. Love it.
What's your coffee? What's your favorite coffee shop? You like PTs?
I have a few. Oh man, I loved PTs when they were at College Hill.
Me too.
We used to go there all the time. Now Circle has kind of replaced that for me. It's right down the street.
Yep.
Circle.
Dialogue's great, and they do good things.
We go to Blackbird. Their pastries are solid.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Those
are you guys ready for the new
ones?
To the Stars Play Cafe.
Wait, what is that?
Topeka?
Yeah. So I think her name's Kayla Shadig. She was like Miss Kansas, or she was like a beauty. But she has a daughter that has, I can't remember, but it's some form of developmental delay.
Okay.
But it's basically like an all-inclusive cafe for people with kids like mine.
Wow. Oh, wow.
The kids can go in there and like he's got sensory stuff, and you can have coffee, and you can do different stuff. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And then of course, man, I got to give a shout out to my dude Troy Mentzer at the Pad.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Best salad bar in town. I never get to eat their burgers because for the last 3 years have been in a perpetual fight camp. But
dude, their burgers are fire.
Their burgers
everything like Troy's restaurants run like a top.
Dude, what's the place in East Topeka on 6th and like Golden or whatever? It's
Prize Package.
Prize Package?
Oh yeah.
Have you guys been there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Dude, that place will destroy you.
No, just ruin.
It's so good.
It's so good. It'll run right through you.
But you could also just like, dump what's left in the bag in your oil in the car, and it's like your free oil change. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Okay, so we hit where are you and your wife going on a date night? If you get a date night.
I owe her White Linen with Adam Van Doan. She's never been there, and I promised her I'd take her there. I'll tell you what my wife and I are going to do on date night is we're going to have Cooper go stay with somebody, and we're going to stay at home and watch Lord of the Rings and eat popcorn.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
My man.
Yeah, no, we don't need to go anywhere. But, dude, Topeka is the coolest small town, one of the coolest small towns in the world. Like, I know for how many people we have, people are like, man, Topeka's, man. Dude, this is a small town. This is a small town, and there are so many little hidden gems here, and so many cool things to do.
True.
There's no such thing as boring. There's just boring people.
Yeah,
let's go.
But there's so much to do down here, and what Average Plaza's doing, and what Cody Foster's doing with the mall again. Dude, have you been in check out the mall yet?
I haven't been in since they started renovating.
Okay,
it,
Save Souls, right? Save Souls. My buddy Patterson. He's sponsoring me now, but I bought a pair of Jesus shoes, and they are the coolest shoes.
Wait, Save Souls a shoe store?
Save Souls. SOLES.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. That's
pretty
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah,
pretty incredible. Right. So his like people will idolize things and name brands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this dude was like, you know what? Let's put the true idol on there.
There you go.
Put Jesus on that.
So
bad
it's like
boy.
a Jesus branded shoe.
Yes.
Like that in the whole store.
Yeah,
is that brand?
No, it's not just that brand. He's got other stuff, but they offer that one as well. But like, dude, the insoles have like the 3 crosses of Calvary on them, and it's neat. It's worth supporting.
that is cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, stay local.
Yeah.
Support local.
Are you a handy guy? Like something breaks, you try to fix it yourself?
Depends on what it is, man. I work like 80 hours a week.
Sure.
I leave I'm up at 4 and I don't get home until 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So when I'm home, like, I'm sure it drives my wife nuts, but like I'm gonna be hanging out with my kid.
If you have to go to, if you need supplies to fix somewhere, are you going to Home Depot, Lowe's, or Menards?
Probably Menards because the rebate.
Let's go.
Yeah, I like Menards.
We got to keep a running tally. That's when we need to start doing.
I think I'm up still, but yeah, you're making a comeback.
I swear by Menards.
Well, and here's so like if I need power tools because I'm a Milwaukee guy.
Yeah,
you can't buy them at Menards, so I go to Home Depot for stuff like that. Because if I'm gonna do it,
because that's where actual contractors go.
No. Well, that's fine.
I did
that's
have
fine.
when I
we're
was
not actual contractors.
Well, I was when I had Second Chance Construction, which was one of my not better businesses that lasted all of like 9 months. We had our account at Home Depot.
Yeah. Nice. Yep.
But for the average person, Menards is far superior.
And then maybe let's just end on this. Obviously, we love Topeka. We think Topeka gets some unnecessary hate. People are like,
crazy
there's
hate.
nothing to do here. This place sucks. You're like, dude, look around, man. Like, look with fresh eyes at what's going on, So, but we do also like to be honest, about like, hey, what would we like to see develop in our city? So what are some things that you would like to see more of in Topeka? Maybe it's a specific business or store, restaurant, or anything. Just what would you like to see develop more in the next 5 to 10 years?
So one of the things, what attracted United Healthcare and what attracted some of the other, what's brought a lot of attention to Central Park neighborhood is this thing called Neighbor Night. Right. And Mary Flynn opens her house up and feeds people at the table. Right. Because so many things happen at the table. Like in our faith, you're not really brothers until you've broken bread together. Right.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have upwards of 80 homeless people.
Wow.
Having a meal. They bring their kids there on Thanksgiving to have Thanksgiving dinner.
That's amazing.
Right. But you see where there was high crime and high murder and high death rate and high this and high that, like all of a sudden, all these people are breaking bread together and crime rates have plummeted. So if I could want one thing in Topeka, I would wish that it could do the same thing in every neighborhood.
Wow. That's cool.
And that neighbors could just get together and remember to love their neighbors. They love themselves.
Come on. Well, that's a great way to wrap the episode. John, Ironman Cantrell, where can people find you on social media?
Well, you can't right now because I'm locked out of all my accounts, but you can follow Ironman Cantrell on Instagram. You can follow John the Ironman Cantrell on Facebook. Go to my website, ironmancantrell.com. I'm all over the place, unfortunately.
Love it.
You're good, man.
Hey, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you guys.
That's great.
This is great.